It's July, finally. 2-minute drill. We're starting off with this. The player that has the most to prove. Sam, you wrote a great article about it. I'm going to throw a crazy one at you. But Solly, who's the player that has the most to prove this year?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to go with the quarterbacks, but I have to lean towards Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In 2018, this guy was unstoppable. He was the MVP. He precipitated the early departure of one Antonio Brown. We thought he was going to be an adequate replacement as the Steelers' number one go-to receiver. Now, I know we can say, hey, Ben wasn't there in 2019 and those numbers dropped precipitously, but he should have given them more. And now he has to come out and prove that he can be the number one receiver, even with being back. Now, all the excuses are out the window. So here's a guy that's got to bring it in 2020.
Yeah, and he's got to fight off Deontay Johnson for that number one spot, who made hay while he was struggling. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield, stay in the AFC North, but I think the entire Browns offseason has been about eliminating variables for Baker Mayfield. It's been improving the pass protection, fixing the coaching and the scheme, assembling weapons, making sure that every question from last year, other than Baker Mayfield, was addressed, which puts all the focus back on Baker. And look, we loved him coming out. He was great as a rookie. PFF grade of 83 in his first season, which is basically up there with Russell Wilson and pretty much nobody else. But then it dropped 10 points last season. His play was really concerning in terms of leaning into all of his negatives and his bad tendencies. He suddenly has to show that he's the guy we saw in year one, not the guy we saw last year.
Baker is an obvious choice. Odell is up there. And I was going to go Tom Brady because I think he's got a lot to prove. But I'm going to go with the guy that was traded away from New England before Tom Brady left, and that's Jimmy G. And here's the reason. That team was so good last year. Their defense was so stout. I don't expect them to be nearly as good this year. And they're still going to have high expectations. And that means Jimmy G is going to have to play as well as he did down the stretch when he was a top 10 graded quarterback. Not like he did in the first half of the season where he was not nearly as good. He's going to have to put the ball on the money on those deep throws down the field in the fourth quarter to win some games and get the Niners back deep into the playoffs. It's Jimmy G.
I think that's a really good observation. There's no doubt. I thought he played great in the second half of the season. That's why they were able to go deep into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. The first half of the season, he was not nearly as good. So I think even the coaches are even having that conversation with Jimmy G. Our second question is about Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. I'm not going to ask you if he could take the next step. I'm going to make you really dial it in. Where is it in his game where he does have to take the next step in order to become the quarterback they want?
I mean, the easy answer is the deep ball, right? Josh Allen has already taken significant steps forward, but he's maybe the worst deep passer in the NFL for a guy who has maybe the strongest arm in the NFL. Like, those are two things that should not go together. And it really proves that being able to throw the deep ball is not about arm strength. It's about anticipation and accuracy and putting the ball in the air at the right time. And he has been spectacularly awful at it. And the Bills have viable deep threats. John Brown is a top-end deep threat. Stephon Diggs has been one of the best deep threats in the league over the past couple of seasons. But this is not about the receivers. It's about Allen getting comfortable with that deep pass, putting some more air under it, stop trying to fire it in there at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and just concentrate on putting it in the right area of his receiver.
You're telling me that accuracy matters in the NFL?
A little bit.
My mind is blown here. Absolutely shattered. Everything I'd believed about strength has gone out the window. Here's where he can really improve. I'm going to dial it way in for you. Plays that take a long time. Plays that when he drops back, it takes more than 3 seconds. He has twice as high a rate of turnover-worthy plays as he does big-time throws. That is awful. That is terrible. That means when he is taking his time, things get way worse, dramatically worse. And that's an area that is somewhat small sample size, a little unstable. He just takes care of the ball a little bit better. That can go a long way. And here's the kicker. We saw Stephon Diggs on those long developing plays in Minnesota off play action. That guy was wide open all the time. So what you talked about, Sam, those two things can go hand in hand, and deep in the shot clock, he can become a playmaker instead of a disaster.
Well, someone should share this secret with Josh Allen that NFL coverages on the defensive side of the ball, the longer you hold the ball, those coverages become highly unstable. So coverage breaks down. You should be better as a quarterback the longer you hold on to the ball. So this is where I'm going to go with it when it comes to Josh Allen. I just think he has to be a better, what I call situational quarterback. And there are critical areas where games are always decided, and that's going to be on third down. That's going to be inside the red zone. Don't have to be accurate throwing the ball down the field inside the red zone. Just have to make good decisions. The final 2 minutes of each half, the first half and the second half, final 2 minutes, you just have to be good. I don't care how you get it done. You just got to get it done. And then when you're playing from behind in the fourth quarter, the good quarterbacks, they don't wilt in these situations. They become bigger. They become better. At the end of the day, Josh Allen is on a really good team, and it is in those critical areas where they expect him to be really good.
So situationally, for example, in crunch time in the playoffs, don't attempt a crazy blind behind the back lateral to your tight end who doesn't see it coming. Good little coaching point for him there. Last question, though. Chris Jones has basically said, look, either he gets a big money deal from the Chiefs or he's going to sit out all season long. Do we believe him?
Well, we were having a conversation before this, and Solly will shed some light here. I can't wrap my head around how a rational thinking human being could see the money that Le'Veon Bell left on the table and go, you know what I should do? I should sit out. But for that exact reason, I kind of do believe him. I think that there is a little bit of a mano a mano. I am worth this much, and even if it costs me money, at least I'll stand my ground type deal. Which I think is ridiculous, and I would not advise it. And if I'm his agent, I am sleeping at his doorstep with a sign that says, please reconsider this, because it's not the smart move for Chris Jones, and frankly for the Chiefs, who could really use defensive playmakers.
You guys smell that? It smells fishy. That's what it does. Chris Jones, first of all, someone should tell him the last person you should be taking contractual advice from is Le'Veon Bell. Secondly, you don't announce to a team, I plan to hold out. Because you know what that does? It favors the team. The team now has more time to prepare for your absence. They could either A, hire someone else, B, begin to sort of develop a game plan where you become less significant to them. The real smart players, if you just check throughout the first 100 years of this game that's been played, they don't go around telling the team what the plan is. All you do is you just do it. You implement it quietly. So that's why, no, I'm not buying it. Sooner or later, to me, Chris Jones is going to look around, see the team playing football, and he's going to begin to miss it. And I always say to players, you're only a player when you're playing football. You can't call yourself a football player when you're sitting out of football.
I like to think I'm a player all the time.
I know.
Absolutely.
You're a different kind of player.
P-L-A-Y-A, though, yeah?
Exactly.
I will say, though, this is the year that makes it interesting because obviously we're all dealing with this COVID-19, the lockdown, the risks to health to return to football, the NFLPA, the NFL. They have to work through all these safety concerns. And if ever there was a year to say, you know what, I'm not getting paid enough for this, I'm going to sit at home and see how it plays out, this would be the one. So I don't know that it's the smart move. I'm kind of with George that leaving that amount of money on the table is crazy no matter what way you cut it. But I kind of believe him because I think if ever there was a year for you to follow through with just not risking it, this would be the one.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.